Hey everyone, welcome to another session of three crypto traders hanging out in Phuket, because this one is not going to have a name. We're going to do something different on our current stream. Hopefully the audio and the video are good. We're trying to get the production right. As much as I did my best to try and get us in the tub or in the private pool to get us to match the picture of the thumbnail, unfortunately, it has been like a monsoon all day today. It's been pouring rain, so that really sucked. So this is the best we can do. Maybe if it gets a little bit better. Oh, the rain's slowing down finally. The rain's slowing down a bit, so we'll see what happens. Maybe one of us will jump in that pool. But here you go. You got us back. We're going to talk a little bit about markets. We brought you a bunch of analytics last time, but I want to focus this episode a little more on what we think about the future of the crypto space, not only from a price perspective, but also from a general fundamental perspective. What do we think of things like mass adoption, and what do we think is going to be needed? I don't think I have anyone doing questions for us. I'll try and keep an eye on the live chat, but I also want to relax. I got a cigar here. I was gonna try and smoke while in the pool, but oh well, maybe I still will. But we'll see. All right, not gonna do much screen sharing. Let's just go ahead and get on with it. We are looking at only 250 live viewers so far, but hopefully it'll go on from there. All right, the audio should be good. Sound is crackling. Okay. Any other comments on audio and video?
It's too early in America. That's why we school people.
I know.
It's like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. over there. Crypto traders do not wake up early.
Audio's good. All right, we're all set. All right, cool. So let's just kick it off. Let's finish off the trading discussion. I guess. Well, as I pour myself a glass of wine. So, Willy, how's your short trade going?
Yeah, not so well. How's your short trade going? I took volume off, actually. I'm on a 1x short, which is US dollars right now.
And
Venzen, you're in the long trade.
I'm in the long trade. As soon as it crosses bid stamp 6,480, I'm looking to really go for it.
All right, you probably want to speak up a little bit, Venzen.
All right.
Because you're furthest away from the mic.
All right.
But so what do we see from the market? So people in the comments, people really seem to be confused. People seem to think that I am going the opposite of the both of you, which is not really true. I think, Willy, you and I are pretty much on the same page, what we see from the price of Bitcoin into the future. We're both expecting a drop sometime in the next 30 to 60 days. Yeah. And that drop would be significant, a drop of approximately 20%. So we're pretty much in line.
It's all just time frames. Yeah. I think we're all agreeing on the longer term, multi-month, 3 to 6 months, right?
Right. So on the short term, you and I are bearish right now. Venzen, on a short term, you are bullish right now. But it's a very short term bullish because your intermediate is still bearish.
Yeah. In the context of long term, saying that Bitcoin is going to continue advance eventually, I believe that. Intermediate, we're all on the same page, same kind of target, same kind of time frame. I'm just saying I need to see a bear market rally.
Right, you want to see a bear market rally before.
Yeah, I kind of expect to see that. We'll find out one of these days. The large trend lines that have kept price for 2018 of the Z price is going to cross one of them soon, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing? So my view has always been, I cannot see Bitcoin above $10,000 on January 1st. Does either of you see a likelihood of that happening?
I think it's likely.
Above 10,000?
Yeah, 80% likely.
On January 1st?
Likely. Yeah. If my scenario plays out, If price crosses below the support floor, then that's for me a 20% likelihood, and then we're closer to 5,000, 3,000.
Well, wait a minute. What? But you're giving it an 80% chance the price is above 10,000.
Yeah.
We've got to punch through some solid resistance at 9,900.
But after it's above 10,000 on January 1st, you're then expecting a correction back to 2,000.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a pretty bullish year end, followed by a complete repeat of the first half of 2018 in 2019.
Yes, more devastating, perhaps.
Gotcha. Okay.
The higher it goes,
Whoa,
the
so
further it's going to fall.
So you are way more bullish short term than I anticipated.
Yeah. I guess I am, just because I think very few people believe that there's a bullish outcome here. Even fewer people expect that it will be a bull trap.
But here's the thing though, right? Like I sent out this tweet today when someone pointed out that Bitcoin on a 5-day chart has been mimicking the NASDAQ drop. Yeah, Willy, if you go over to my Twitter,
it's internet's not.
Internet's slow.
Internet's slow, huh? We're
Right,
streaming
so
out. Maybe I'm taking up
we're
the
going to your Twitter, right? Let me just pull. Yeah,
Right.
It's super slow.
Well, as long as we're tweeting out okay, as long as we're streaming out okay, I guess. But so
I'll
basically,
use my cell phone.
so basically, someone you know what? I'll do screen share on that because that was actually a really good tweet. Hold on, I wasn't really planning on doing screen share, but let's do it.
We had a look this morning.
Yeah, so Venzen and I, Willy was busy actually working, so Venzen and I got to talk markets, but then these guys got to talk markets. That was a very interesting discussion about whales. I honestly think you take the term whales in trading too literally to the whales in real life.
Yeah, I can see why you say that. And my followers will know from the many David Attenborough videos I've linked for them that I make a literal comparison between what the whales do in the ocean in terms of hunting in teams and what the whales are doing in the market.
I think that's borderline insane.
Yeah, you guys are smoking.
The whales I know, they know our stuff a bit about the markets, but they're no way traders, and they just got in early.
All right, guys. So so check this out, Willy. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know how much. It'll be hard for me to do a full screen. Let me drop the chat here. Let me go to as full screen as I can get.
You're
right?
sharing this, right?
I am sharing the screen. Yeah. So basically, here's a monthly chart of the NASDAQ bubble. Because it's somebody else's thing, I can't really zoom in. The .com bubble, right?
Oh, this is way back there. Yeah,
right. So this is the .com bubble in line with Bitcoin on a 5-day chart. Here's the comparisons that I have. Now, normally, I don't mind comparing a shorter time frame of one asset to a longer time frame of another asset. I would say that because I think that the further we go into history, the faster information travels, and Bitcoin is a very digital asset. So it makes sense that it goes up and down a lot faster than NASDAQ did back in the 90s. However, I don't think it's 10 times faster, right? Like I think using 5 days versus 1 month is a little too much. Something like maybe 10 days. And here's why. While this looks very similar, like here is the first bottom, and then the second bottom, and then the final bottom was a little bit lower. While this looks really, really cool, here's my problem with it. If I look and I go back to what happened before the exponential rise, I clearly see this reversal monthly candle. You see it right there?
Yep.
That guy right there, right?
Yeah.
And if I look at this candle, the top of that candle is at $1,500. 2 months later, 2 candles later, 3 candles later, a swift bottom shows up at $1,000. So you can see a 33% correction and sets off the exponential move, okay?
very similar to Bitcoin.
And now,
in a lot of
right.
ways. Yeah,
So now we drop back down to Bitcoin and we see a very similar candle right here, right there for the viewers. That was the month of July 98, by the way, that candle on the NASDAQ. Now this candle is the last week of August 2017. The top of that candle is at exactly $5,000. That was the August $5,000 top. Over the next 3 candles, exactly like that NASDAQ monthly chart, you have a swift bottom at 3,000. And we rallied all the way to 20 from there. Minor correction at 7.5, almost not noticeable.
Can I also point out, because obviously respect to the guy who's doing the analysis, he's showing in both charts that it's approaching that red moving average, right?
Sure, but
that's part of what he's showing.
I know, but he's not even displaying what moving averages he's using here, what moving averages he's using there. You can fudge the moving averages to make it look like whatever you want.
That would be the right.
Right.
Oh, he's not showing it. He is not showing. Can you expand that as a live?
No, I can't.
Can you hit the plus?
I can't do anything.
It looks to me like
there you go. So it's the same moving average.
No, they're not.
10, 35,
oh, they are the
75.
same.
Yeah. So
no, but the time periods are different, right?
Yeah.
And they're not even the same. Look, we pulled into the cross, and then there was nothing here at the cross, right? I mean, like, the moving averages aren't really the same at all. But anyway, let me just point to this, right? So the NASDAQ had a high of 1,500. Over the next 3 candles, dropped 33%, and then swiftly went into a giant, bubble. The same thing here. We topped at 5,000. We dropped to 3,000. It's the same 33% correction. And then we swiftly went into an exponential rise. And here's the big difference. In the NASDAQ, there's the top of that candle at 5,000.
1,500 points.
1,500 points.
Yeah.
And look where the bottom is. The bottom is half that.
What is the bottom?
About 700 and change.
So
750.
Yeah.
Half that.
Yeah.
So if I put that cursor at the top of that same candle, that's the $5,000 candle.
Bitcoin, yeah.
So if you want to match the Bitcoin bubble to the NASDAQ.com bubble, you have to drop 50% below that 5,000, which takes us into the 2,500 that you have been talking about, Venzen.
Thank you.
And at least you have to go back and touch that candle at 5K. So which is why I don't like this comparison. And if you change this from a 5-day to a 10-day, you will probably get something that is over here near top 2 or bottom 2 or even bottom 1 and not necessarily bottom 3, because bottom 3 went below the 33% correction before the exponential rise, which is the correction from 5 to 3. And I feel we need to get back to the vicinity of this 5 to 3. And I know I've been talking about Bitcoin versus Bitcoin in the past, but here's an example of NASDAQ versus Bitcoin currently, and they still line up that Bitcoin has more downside.
Let me throw a curveball on this, which leads into fundamentals, right?
Please.
The fundamentals. So what's that time period there? Is that over a year? That's rough about a year.
These are 5-day candles. Those are monthly candles.
5 days down here. You see
5-day candle versus monthly candle.
One month.
Okay. Yeah. So this is like it's not like a 5-year period.
Touch screen,
yeah, I won't touch it.
Yeah.
So you're saying it should go lower. Now, if you think about the .com, there was some fundamental technology that was built. Yet there was most of that stuff was hot air, right? And it's very much similar to utility tokens.
It's very similar to the ICO bubble, absolutely.
Utility tokens, it's like you buy a token. There is a piece of a token that sits inside a piece of software.
That's totally useless.
It's like Augur is similar. Like, okay, are you going to get the world using Augur? And what is the last numbers we have is it's like any one day is under 100 people using it. This is not going to drive value. And .com crashed lower, but with Bitcoin is not pie in the sky, let's build Snapchat and hope it takes off. It is a store of value, right? And I can show you over a very long time that there's more people coming in, and once they come in, they don't leave. Once you've
I'm with you, but let me throw a curveball at that one, right? The NASDAQ the Nasdaq value, the 5,000 point high, and then let me stop screen share. The 5,000 point high in the Nasdaq occurred in the year 2000.
Yeah.
It broke that high in value in 2015. 15 years it took for the financial value of the Nasdaq to get back to the all-time high.
Yes.
That's not counting inflation. With inflation, probably add another year to that.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
But think about the underlying technology, the internet expanded exponentially during that entire time. So why did it take so long for the Nasdaq to get back there? Because you're right, there was so much garbage there, right? Now I am expecting the price of Bitcoin to make it back to the all-time high within 1 to 2 years. But as far as the total market cap, I'm not expecting that to come back to the all-time high for at least 5+ more years, because the next time Bitcoin gets back to its new all-time high, I think Bitcoin will be 95% dominance, not 50 or 40% dominance it was at the all-time high. So that's another, and there's not that many new Bitcoins coming out at this point. So I think it'll take multiple more years for the total market cap to get back to new all-time high, even though Bitcoin will be.
What I'm saying is that with the NASDAQ, it was very much, if you were to do a composite chart of utility tokens, you'll find that when it hits the bottom, it hits way lower. But because this is Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a fundamental adoption curve. And that adoption is a 2x every year. On the long term, every year there's double the amount of people that accumulate it or buy it, touch it, or use it. So that skews this chart from a horizontal sort of baseline to an increasing baseline.
Holy shit, did it stop raining?
It stopped raining.
Oh, he's going in.
I think I'm gonna go in because I don't want to smoke a cigar inside this place. I gotta respect the owner. Hold on. Oh man, you see me over there? Holy shit.
And this is not high fancy fluting technology. This is like, once we've created a store of value, a piece of technology that's internet native and it's a scarcity. You've got the property of gold, and the world over, you park money in store of value, right? People pump money into houses. There's no way you can tell me a house sitting there in Vancouver is worth $2 to $3 million. It does not cost that much to build. It's just,
oh God, no.
This is people storing value inside assets, and this is why we store value inside gold. And now we've got this
not inside .coms, right?
No, it's not .com. .coms is speculative.
The question is, am I wearing any underwear or a bathing suit under the pants?
Go skinny.
Was that from a guy or girl, by the way?
Yeah. So did you guys hear on the point you're making? Did you guys hear about the Long Island Tea Company?
Oh yeah, it's part of my presentations, man.
Right.
Right. You know the story with.
I don't know the full story. It's
now recently the Long Island Tea Company.
Right.
They were funded to so much millions, and they were running at a loss on their iced tea orders, right? And what they did is they changed their name to the Long Island Blockchain Company.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And their stock doubled.
This is like the .com. You put .com behind the name
of a losing company with the balance sheet in the red, right? They're running at a loss.
Hey guys, we can turn our fan out so that it blows the.
It won't help because you're going to be fighting against the predominant wind.
Really?
Yeah.
You need to put it like right there.
Okay, I can bring it. So you guys carry on the conversation. I just want to finish the point. The Long Island iced tea, the Long Island iced tea company was a losing company. It was a business busy failing, right, with no hope of recouping its losses. They changed their name to the Long Island Blockchain Company. Their stock doubles in price.
Oh, it went more than double. Again, it's part of my presentation. It's part of my ICO presentation. That's not. Oh, what? Yeah, there you go. It did way more than double. The stock went from like under about $2 to $16 that day. I can pull up the presentation. I can tell you guys how to find it. But yeah.
Okay, so what's the point of this?
That's it. Well, people just change the names of the companies and the stock goes up like crazy. Venzen, I'm going to finish the wine.
I would say what happens. What I would say would happen is that someone changes the name of it, and then the smart money are betting on the dumb money to buy into it, and they know there's no fundamental value in it, but they know that someone else is going to buy it. Then they're going to sell. This is a little bit like what happens in ICOs.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, hey, I actually have a question that was tipped in our last episode that I totally forgot to ask. So sorry about that, live viewer. Oh, yeah, this is great. Oh, yeah, it's definitely blowing right in my face. Excellent.
It's working? It's working.
Exactly what I want, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally working. So the question was...
That's sell pressure, that's buy pressure.
So the question was, can we just get stuck at the current range of between $6,000 and $7,000 for the next several months? And what happens? And I think that is very, very possible.
It's possible. You reckon it's possible? It's been going on for
how many months? How many months? You say?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like for me personally.
How many months? Do you say 2 to 3 months?
I think if it's only 2 months, it's not relevant. I think that if we get stuck in this at the current price of Bitcoin, if we get stuck in this zone for another 2 months, I don't think anything changes.
Okay.
However,
yeah,
if we get stuck in this zone for the next 6 months, I can potentially admit that 5,000 will never come.
Yeah, I have a different timing, but I'm similar because like all of this blockchain analysis, you know, you can look at, you know, the price levels when the Bitcoins move. You need some amount of like price differential before they move. You can see this on the blockchain. And then MBT is another one. You just look at what's happening on the blockchain. And you know what it gives you is these waves of patterns, and they're like now over multi-year periods.
What do you mean now? Like what happened?
Like these nows are the peaks. Like you see, all the coins are changing because it's peaking. It's like 20,000 or 1,200 last cycle, right? And then people like, I've had my coins for 4 years. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sell, right? So you can look at these patterns, and you can pick up timing signatures off it. And the reason why I'm bearish is the timing signature for a bottom or the start of the accumulation, okay? It's not the start of the bull. There's an accumulation phase of many months. The timing signature is at least 3 months away. And then I'm thinking the support zones aren't going to hold for that length of time. But if they do, I'm the same as you. I'm thinking, well, then we're going to set up.
I'm thinking, yeah. And my view
then it's going to go further because there's accumulation of that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that the higher we are in the accumulation phase, the longer that accumulation phase has to hold. Like if we go down to 3,000,
yeah,
we don't need 9 months of accumulation. But if we're stuck at 6,000, we need 9 months of accumulation.
Wait, guys, I believe what you're saying, Tone. Your time frames are correct. But can you guys see in the chart? We don't have a chart up, but everyone can visualize it who are watching, I'm sure. That for 10 months, we've been hitting at 6,000. Does that not qualify as an accumulation zone?
Nah.
No, not yet. I need 6 more months. I need 6 more months.
I believe it's an accumulation phase. And if it should carry on for 3 months, it sure is possible. But then you have to ask yourself, if you're a David Attenborough of Bitcoin like me, that when the whales have been keeping the shoal of fish up from diving and running away, right, escaping, if they've been keeping them up at 6,000, then surely those whales want to eat. Are they gonna support them? Are they gonna buy so much as they've done for 10 months and then say, oh, we'll just wait a bit. We'll wait a bit longer.
But that's been my view. My view has been they are going to give up buying and defending 6,000 until they say we can't defend it anymore. We need to get out before the peg breaks.
Okay.
And causing the peg
Yeah,
to break.
and that will cause just a drop when they give up.
What do you mean the peg breaks?
Well,
The 6,000 floor,
Right.
suppose.
So it's like the government trying to defend the peg. We talked about it earlier today with the British pound
Right,
and with the Soros.
They ran out of money to hold that
Right.
level.
You run out of money to defend 6,000. And when you run out of money to defend 6,000, you have the insider information that you have ran out of money to defend 6,000. So what do? You're the first guy to sell big,
Right.
crashing the price.
This is
quickly.
possible. If there's a rogue whale and he's like epic,
Someone is gonna
epic.
Someone's gonna break ranks first.
Right.
Okay, and then the alternative.
They're gonna snitch on them.
Guys, that's one scenario. That's one scenario. The other is they've accumulated, and if they determine if the whales with their squeaks and pops and sounds,
I can still see the live chat with myself.
if they realize that, guys, we're going to run out of money if there's another wave down to 6,000, they're going to say, okay, well, are we going to defend it again, or are we going to push it above are we going to push it above the wedge trend line?
Who do you
spark the market
think these
into a
people
rally?
are, like who do you think they are? Because I can see there's a new player in town since 2017. I can see
You believe there's a new player in town?
I can show you with data, I can show you with data that there's these stuff happening
I should have smoked a cigar
in these markets
9 months
that has
ago.
not happened
It's
in
good.
the prior
It's good.
7 years.
Yeah.
In
It was good.
2017, new players came into the market. You can see it in volatility changes. You can see it in the fractal patterns.
Okay,
And it
let's talk
happened
about
after
well,
the ETF
again,
failed.
again. Let's talk about one of those players. Again, I don't want to pick up Mike Novogratz. Mike, please come to my conference in Vegas. I've sent you a personal tweet. I would love to talk to you about this, though you may not be happy about it. But yeah, in our last convo, I haven't fact checked this, but somebody said that he got in at 3,000. Let's assume his first buy for his investors was at 3,000, right? So it makes total sense. The first buy, we know he's down on his position, so that means he's been buying throughout the bull and the bear market. Okay. Now we know he's down on the fund, but he's been very bullish on it in general, and we know that he's looking to put a lot more money in. So he is defending 6,000 because, as far as he's concerned, he started buying at 3,000, and right now he's up 125%. Okay, 105%, whatever, over 100%, right? So at what point would he throw in the towel for even his earliest investors? Because if it goes below 6, if it goes below 5, but I cannot see him going underwater with his initial buy. So sometime between 6,000 and 3,000, he may be forced to get out. Is that going to happen closer to 3, creating a drop to 1? Or is that going to happen closer to 5, creating the drop to 3, which would allow him to get back in at 3 and make up for the crazy bear market?
Okay, I like the way you explain it because it's logical. I can picture it and project it and wonder about it too. The thing is that if the whales know that if you give these retailers like us and the rest of the majority in the exchanges, if you give them enough rope, if you give them the opportunity, they will short and short and short because they want to buy Bitcoin for $1. They will short and short. They will hope to buy $1. So I'm saying you're talking about Novogratz and his situation and the options to him, and I agree with you. But Novogratz did not sit down at his desk and say, this is the stack and it's all going into Bitcoin, right?
I think he did.
My thinking is, yeah, he might have decided, but in order to action it, the guy does not know about crypto. He does not know about encryption and consensus and the way that Bitcoin works and its core values. He sees it as an investment opportunity, right? He didn't buy a few Bitcoin for private transactions or hodling. He's investing. In order to get that stack into the market, he needed the help of an OTC agent or an exchange. And that exchange and that OTC agent told some of their big clients that this guy is coming in with so much. In other words, there's a discussion about price, liquidity at certain levels, the kind of the volume that you're looking at, the horizontal, where did how much volume come in? So Mike Novogratz, I don't know, but I would imagine he's not alone in that investment. There are lots of contingent players, depending on him keeping the rank.
Here's what I think. I think that Mike, you may think he's a big trader. I think that he's not a trader. I think
he's not a hedge fund manager. His job is like a VC. His job is to convince people to give him money.
Right, and you're saying someone might think he's a big trader, but this is what he is. Right?
I think that this is the game of big finance, is that you're not going to trade. You're not going to go for the gold rush. You're going to sell picks and shovels. And you can see what's happening is that he's created the Galaxy index of altcoins, and
that's a terrible index.
Then you think, what is that for? You're probably going to run some sort of indexed ETF fund, and you're going to make money whether it goes up or down. I think he's setting himself up for picks and shovels. You're going to make money whether it goes up or down. Now the question is,
you can say the same thing about me.
If you need to sell more picks and shovels, you need a bullish market. So you want, then there will be players that want to set up a floor, and then you want the next thing to come sooner. You want the bull market.
Eventually, you want the bull market. It doesn't.
He's not. You remember, he doesn't. If you're in this idea of what this thing is, I'm selling picks and shovels. I don't want to short it and pick it up cheaper because you're not a trader. I want everyone else to get bullish on this and buy in because I'm going to buy my index product.
Yeah.
Hey, can I throw something else out there? This is why I shouldn't pay attention to comments sometimes. You guys were on this show the last 2 days, right?
Yeah.
So here's what someone in the group chat writes. Tone, you said yesterday that, wouldn't, never mind, I misread that. Sorry, Aga Boys. Tone, you said yesterday that you wouldn't like to see Bitcoin go down to 1,300. Yes, because I'm still holding a bunch of Bitcoin. So I don't want to see it go down to 1,300. I'm just being realistic about reality. Is that because it could extend the bear market? No, it's because I would be financially.
It'll be nervous times for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I might have to go get a job again.
Yeah. You don't want to see that.
Yeah. If so, does that matter if you're getting an opportunity to buy cheap Bitcoin? I don't have any cash to buy cheap Bitcoin. This is the problem, right? Like the only way I would buy Bitcoin at 1,300 is if I immediately try to sell my apartment. I immediately try to sell my car, considering it's 10 years old. I'm not going to get much. Or I don't know, I can pimp myself out. I don't know, but like I don't have the means. I don't have a job that earns me cash. All I'm doing, I remember I charge in Bitcoin. I denominate in Bitcoin.
Are you telling me you're partial? You're on one side of the trade because you're not neutral. You're already in Bitcoin.
And here's the thing. And if I start shorting Bitcoin like crazy, all I'm gonna do is earn more Bitcoin. And if that goes down to 1,300, I didn't actually earn much in fiat terms.
Yeah. Depends on your leverage.
Right. So I mean, I'm looking at the market now, and if we come back to 6,000 again, and I mean that's why I put on that short trade. I put on that short trade just because I played statistics of the descending triangle. I know you disagree with the descending triangle, but that's how I see it. If we come down again,
you were not wrong.
If we come down again to 6,000 sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I will actually double down on the short. But doubling down on the short only earns me more Bitcoin, which I expect to go down in price. What I would probably do is I'm already redoing my residency as we speak. So I'm actually praying that this shit does not happen until next year, because I actually don't even want to take profit on my trade this year. I want this trade to be exited next year, because as of December 31st, I will no longer be a resident of New York. So I will, so my goal is to pray that 6,000 holds into January 1st, so that even when I exit the trade on January 1st, I have a significantly smaller tax liability. The other thing, because I can't change my residency while I'm still traveling, I'm not going to get home till Christmas. So that last week of December and those first few weeks of January, while I'm setting up my conference in Vegas, I'm changing my residency to a tax-free state. I'm moving. I'm going to move. And so I need to, if Bitcoin is hovering at that 6,000 on January 2nd or 3rd, I'm not only am I going to still be short, I'm actually going to exit Bitcoin into US dollars, because I don't want to take that chance. And then I will have those dollars to buy back in. But this will be done OTC off exchange, as long as I know my tax liability is significantly lower, because I don't have those stupid city and state shit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm okay.
You've got enough confidence.
Yeah, I'm okay paying federal. I'm okay paying federal. It's not that bad. Federal US is not that bad. Maybe I'll go to Puerto Rico all the way. We'll see. Maybe I'll go to another country. I have no idea yet. But I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't pay 45 to 50% taxes. That's ridiculous. Like I would literally need a 95% correction in Bitcoin to make that up.
You might as well go to Scandinavia and pay those taxes so you get it back.
I might as well hold through the bear market, which is what I'm doing now.
It's a super chat.
Yeah, we have a super chat.
I read it. I can't make out the guy's
No, I got
name,
it right here. Let's see, Tone. What do you guys feel the chances are of seeing $50,000 Bitcoin in 5 years' time?
Easy.
I will answer first. I think the probability in 5 years from now, right? So let's say it's December 31st now, right? So let's say it's January 1st, 2019. So at 5 years, we're talking January 1st, 2024, right? So this is 5 years and 2 months. I think the chances of a $50,000 Bitcoin at that time are above 80%.
I give it 95 to 99%.
That's above 80%.
Yeah. Why?
Go on.
But no, you go first. You go.
No, I'm going to give reasons. You go. You reasons.
Is okay. So I did a study a while back on because what will make the price go up is really more people using it as a store of value. Everyone buys in, it pushes the price up. And it's interesting. It's like when you have an asset that only goes up because people put money in, when you put money gets pulled out. It's kind of this sort of naturally occurring Ponzi. The longest running naturally.
Shout out to Bitcoin Uncensored back in the day.
Yeah. So it's actually it's a World Bank. Krista Rose highlighted it. It's a World Bank study, and they coined the term the naturally occurring Ponzi. These things, there's no real value it's not a company. You're not creating value. It's just people put money in, it goes up. People pull money out, it goes down. Now, the thing is, the longest running naturally occurring Ponzi in the world is gold. You know, how many thousands of years? 5,000? 10,000
years?
In a while. Since civilization, dawn of time. And we come from a physical age, we're going into a post-industrial age where everything is being digitized. Software is in the world, like Uber, taxi, like Airbnb. We did this Airbnb. Is it a hotel chain? Is it? Everything that can be digitized will be digitized. And we found out how to create a scarcity on the internet. Satoshi figured it out. And we've got the first digital scarcity on the internet. That means it's a store of value. And on top of that, it's a better store of value than gold. Debatable, right? But
and you're saying these are the long-term, long-haul pushes up on price.
So then you've got this technology, which is now like gold, which was a technology to figure out how to dig it out of the ground. A new technology, which is internet native in a digital age, and we can park money in it. And then I did a study a year and a half, 2 years ago about how many people are coming in over the long phase. And I did it off this, like how many people are searching BTC USD. If you search
those charts look ridiculous right now. No one's searching.
Not searching for Bitcoin. BTC USD, you only search that if you're interested in price.
Do a Google Trends on that. So I can give you a hotspot.
That's not enough. I need to transform this chart. If you do this search, these people are either interested because they're about to go in, or they are in. And if you if you plot this on a log chart and get log charts have this property where when you have an exponential steady state climb, it comes up as a linear property. And it just turns out that you measure that baseline over the long phase, we get twice the number of people every year coming into Bitcoin. And so, yeah, in 5 years, 2 to the power of 5 is 32 times more people in Bitcoin. That's a lot more money.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, Venzen, you agree with us? Above 80% chance?
And by the way, that if you continue this for another 8 years from now, that's half the world that will be in crypto. Think about half the world impacting their money in crypto. Will we hit 50,000? No, we're going to hit much higher, much higher. If Bitcoin displaces gold, I think it's something like $400,000 per coin.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, look, Bitcoin is not, look, shit can happen in the code. Like anything can happen. A pole flip, we were talking about that because and I are both geologists, so we had some fun conversations about pole flips and solar flares and giant volcanoes. Like, shit can happen, right? But under normal fear of European currency bring wars are great.
You're using 3G or 4G.
Here, Venzen, connect to me because you already were connected. Sure.
It's going to be more rigmarole. Let's just wait for it to connect. It will take a minute or two. Can I answer in the meantime? We'll wait for this Google trend. So as you're saying, there's a long haul upward push on Bitcoin price, right? And if we project it, it goes to the hundreds of thousands and millions. As ridiculous as it seems now, back in 2013 when we saw $260 top, like in April or May, it was like, whoa, that was a shock. And then 1,200, and then 20,000 3 years later.
I'm gonna
so the upward push on price is tremendous. One cannot underestimate it. But and that's why I'm with you guys. 99%, between 80 and 99% chance it'll be above 50,000 according to the demand question. Now,
sorry for being bearish, guys. I'm only at above 80.
So then when this was going to be in my reasons, where I told you, well, give your reasons, and it was in my set of reasons what you just mentioned about black swan events, right. The polar flips, CME, all kind of things that unknowns like that the Skeletor Rumsfeld put it. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So if you say I'm going to invest for 5 years exactly, and then it's going to be above 50,000. Well, you don't know that. It might be 50,000 after 3 years and at 6,000 at 5 years.
Correct. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was saying. You guys haven't count into the fact that 5 years from now we could be dealing with another bear market.
You see.
So we can actually top out at like 48,000. And then start another 1.5 year long bear market down to 20,000. So my 80% factors in the fact that we can come close to 50, not actually break it, and then we have to wait another 3 full years for the downtrend and then recapture back to 50.
Yeah, yeah.
If my idea is right,
What is your idea?
the idea is there's a fundamental wave of people coming in, and they're coming in to buy Bitcoin as a store of value. They put a floor on the price.
My floor on the price is always the prior all-time high.
I'm saying the floor on the price is the sea of people coming in, and they don't care because they're not traders. We have the speculation above the floor. The floor is dictated by people coming in to store value in it. And they're not traders. They don't care if it's high or low. They just decided they're coming in. And this baseline I'm looking at is $500 billion by 2024, right? So this is like just over 5 years from now. And then on top of that, we can go much higher on these speculative bubbles. So can we work that out? So we're like 500 billion.
Well, while you're doing the math, I got some live chat stuff. So someone keeps asking the following question. Tone, what do you think about backed FOMO? We covered this in our last video. So please go to our last video or the videos from yesterday.
What did we say again? It doesn't matter.
Well, I talked about this the same thing as the CME futures. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
That's one question. And the other question is, which I don't really understand, and it goes to you, Willy. Can you ask Willy Woo about the new data on the new players, please, please, please? I don't really know what that means, but go ahead with the math.
Okay.
You were saying
I'm going to just finish the last stuff. I just
did.
did the numbers. I don't know what's the. It turns out that the floor on the price, if this thesis is correct, is 25,000 in 5 years' time. So you can add that. We can go way higher.
Well, that makes total sense to me because, again, my floor is the prior all-time high, which is 20,000. If you're coming down from 50, falling to 25,000 is not that far off from 20.
Right.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
Just like falling to 2,000 or 2,500, I'm okay with that. It's close enough to my 1,300 floor.
I would add to this that based on the timing cycles I'm looking at, we will probably be in a long bull cycle, so it'll be above that floor. So likely it'll be above 50,000, but the floor is 25, according to, if this thesis is correct.
Yeah, guys, you know what? We're thanks.
Yeah, hey guys,
after 5 years.
Can you guys please log on to my hotspot because we are messing with the stream.
I'm on my own hotspot.
You're on your own hotspot. Venzen, you mind?
No problem.
Flip over to mine. Or you don't want to?
I don't want to. Is it messing with the?
Hey, if you keep searching, yeah.
I'm not going to search. Let me close this, guys. Just by the way, I don't know if the audience cannot see this. I tried BTC USD as a Google search term. What is the trend?
Yeah.
And it didn't come back with anything. It just wanted to give me Bitcoin every time, or BTC or Bitcoin.
Interesting.
What we have, and you guys can't see it, is a graph that from your perspective looks like this. In October of 2017, a big peak into December, and then a drop down below where it was in October. So it's just been fading since February 2018. It's just a slow decline that people are less and less interested. Obviously, always the Google search trends increase in a bull market, just like the fee market increases in fees increase in price during a bull market, and then they drop off during a bear market. So right now, very few people are searching for Bitcoin. That's what.
Yeah,
by
the way, when people search very low on Google Trends for Bitcoin, that's the time to buy. There's actually, you can use that as a trading indicator. I published something on that. To the data behind the new animal in the room, there's three things. One is less data. One is the fractal pattern. Bitcoins obey the same fractal pattern.
By the way, Wu is speaking in his personal capacity, because we discussed it yesterday and the day before and today. I don't think there's a new animal. He does, and he's going to give you reasons why.
So there's
Yeah, can you repeat those like you were saying a little quietly? So you're answering the question on your data of why you think there's new players in the market.
So there's 3 touch points.
Yeah.
The first one I'll cover is not data. It's fractal patterns. Fractal patterns is a map of psychology, the sea of psychology moving. Now, you can see these fractal patterns play out in Bitcoin, and it's been the same since the genesis of Bitcoin.
Can you describe them? Because if it's a fractal,
I published a whole article. This is like three cats in the moon. Three cats in the moon. It's on CoinDesk, right? This pattern played out again and again, right? And you can almost see the organicness of it.
Yeah.
Now, it's still playing out, but what happened in 2017 is the fractal pattern started to change, like black and white. It's linear. It's not like this organic thing. It's linear, like it's almost like algorithmic bots. It's almost like Forex, dominated dominated by hedge funds with their algo trading. So that's a touch point. That is not data. That is just looking at the pattern, and it's pattern recognition, which brains are very good at, not so good with algorithms, right? So
that's
then
why
there's
always have a human doing the trade or verifying the trade rather than just a bot running, because the bot's going to mess it up. The bot's going to mess it up.
It's like pattern recognition is massively parallel processing. Your brain works at something like a few tens of hertz, not gigahertz, right? But massively you got tera neurons, more. So this is very good for pattern recognition.
Yeah.
So the other thing in it is that this is the data, is that volatility is like over the 9 years of Bitcoin, volatility has been coming down within a trend line.
Yeah.
On exponential trend line. So volatility drops down like this.
Yeah, we're out of line.
And you plot this on an exponential, it should be a straight line. And it bounces. It's almost like a trading trend, right?
Sure.
And then what happened after the ETF also, remember what happened in the ETF was the Wall Street Journal started covering the ETF. It was the first time the press started talking about Bitcoin not as drug money, right? It became legitimized on the build up to the Wall Street Journal talking about the ETF. And what I think happened was a whole bunch of people who are being savvy in markets started to go, oh, here's an asset. Here's an asset that's not just drug money. We wrote it off as drug money. But I can see in the data, at that point, volatility started to rise up and it broke that trend line.
Can you give like a rough date for price? Or
when was it? Was it May 2017?
All the dates. Well, what do you need?
May 20. When was the ETF?
We said it was around.
When was the ETF failure and the build up to it?
The original one.
The local boss one. Yeah.
The original one was in March of 2017. The price
it was the tail end of the first quarter.
Right, it was the early tail end of the first quarter of 2017.
You can just draw a chart of volatility, and it started to ramp up, and then it broke through those trend lines. And if you think about volatility as a whole bunch of people in the room having opposite sides of the trade, the bigger the sea of people, and they're not trading together, they've got different opinions, they stabilize the price. And then suddenly a whole bunch of people started to trade together and it moved in concert, these big swings. So that's the first part. The second part is I have a chart that's unpublished.
Can I just say it's unpublished? Can I just say that this trading in concert in the same way with the same mind, this is what's called the market collective, right? Starting to act to act in step with one another.
Okay.
I can see it, and it's normal. It's normal.
The full 8 years they did this, right? It's like they moved together, but there is this sort of waveform.
Okay.
And then there's this new waveform, which is even robotic.
You reckon that you use the words, it used to be organic and then it became inorganic.
Yeah, it's like you look at those shapes, and I'm on the thing is, this is how I do this is how I do my stuff, right? I just get a whole bunch of data and I chuck it on a chart and I visualize it and I try to look for patterns. And the pattern says, oh, that's really curious. There's something there. And then I'll go, why? And then I'll get more data to look into that and see, you know, just think. So it's just pattern recognition.
Yeah.
And then you might find something. Now,
and because you as a person have naturally gravitated towards processing massive data sets and plotting it. That's a skill you have.
Yeah, this is the thing is I'm really good at seeing patterns
so
in
I'm posting. You're really good at that.
Yeah.
So I trust. I mean, when we speak together, Willy is really good at saying, look at this similarity to that, and it's like, oh yeah. I would say it is your strength. And so what are you saying about this?
So the fractal pattern is based on this pattern change.
Yeah.
And this reflects in something objective called volatility. Sure. And it broke an 8-year trend of volatility.
And can I just say that he showed me this about 2 hours ago, where you have an initial adoption. So I'm going to do it from the viewer's point of view. So this is the left of your chart, right? That at the initial adoption, you've got a spike in volatility, and then it drops off. I'm not saying this is me or the pattern. I'm saying this is what Willy is saying, that the volatility drops off, and then as the exponential, the logarithmic regression in price happens, so price is going higher and higher and higher, the volatility actually drops off because percentile-wise, it's less than it was at the beginning. That's what you'd expect with a logarithmic.
Yeah, with the standard adoption of people coming in, they knock down the movements of price till this new animal comes in.
So you're saying that when it was supposed to just continue dropping in volatility, suddenly at first quarter 2017, the volatility runs up again.
Yeah, like cypherpunks, sure, a little bit of money. Libertarians, a little bit of money. Then you got some people, early adopters, a little bit of money, and then suddenly someone comes with a lot of money. They made it from somewhere else, and they're trading together. Right. That's what I'm saying happened.
So you're saying the data tells you that there's a lot of money that came in.
And they're a different kind, and they're trading on a different thesis. They're not a sea of people with they have different psychology, and I think their psychology is algorithmic and technical. And then on top of this, I've got another chart, which this one's a little bit hard because it's a correlation. It's a chart of the ratio of how much volume is being traded on exchanges to how much money is being moved on the blockchain. So if you look at how much volume is being traded on the exchanges, this is what you call the SQL layer 2 of blockchain. It's like you can move it around how you like, right? But the blockchain is real money changing hands between people. Now, if you're a algorithmic trader, you're a speculator, you buy, sell, you can move huge volume to milk money out of people. Now, what happened in the same time frame as after the ETF is that this thing started to move up, right? It moved up. The amount of volume traded on the exchanges broke out of our 8-year cycle, and it started to move. Now, what you do is you take that ratio of how much is moving on the exchanges to how much is moving on the blockchain. The stuff moving on the blockchain is real funds moving between hodlers. The stuff moving on exchange is a whole bunch of speculators trading. They're not in for the long haul. Now, you can see volatility changes over the period of 8 years, 9 years of Bitcoin. Whenever you get a peak in volatility, you get a peak in exchange volume, and they move in lock tandem because volatility is the drug of speculators. They move up and down like this, and this thing is lock tandem. Same time as early first quarter, second quarter of 2017, divergence happens. there's suddenly a shit pile of volume happening on exchanges and it's mooning up and up. And volatility it's not in lock tandem. There's a new animal playing a whole lot of volume and they're doing a different game.
All right, can I just?
You illustrated.
I have like a bunch of live. I wanted to let you guys keep talking, but I do want to address a couple of things in the live chat. So here's a question that I've answered before, but I would like to get your take. Tone, if 6,000 is such a strong support line, again, assuming my triangle is correct, and we break down, how strong of a resistance point will it be on the way back up? I've answered this before. I'll let you guys take first crack.
But what's the level we're talking about?
6,000. If 6,000 cracks the way Willy and I expect it does,
Yeah.
how strong of a resistance will it now become?
You got an answer for that? I go with.
I think it'll just play out like last cycle. We're gonna have long accumulation.
In the last cycle. So let me just remind you. In the last cycle, when we finally started to rise off of the $250 zone, we got stuck at $500.
Yeah, I remember
450 to
this.
500
I remember
for
this.
6 months, creating a giant ascending triangle
Yeah.
that broke out with a vengeance into the halving.
There's it. So we expect the same thing again.
Yeah, I concur. It's just, I remember being
If it
there
goes
going,
below there, then it will do the symmetrically opposite thing and tend to that level and then break.
I will
above it
also
into-
add, so much of that answer depends on how far below 6,000 we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's impossible to answer how strong of a resistance it is until we know where the bottom is.
Until we know where the bottom is.
Yes.
And then on its first approach and reaction at 6,000, now we can start talking. It's not just to say, oh, it's going to be very strong resistance because it lasted 10 months or 12
yeah, it'll be
months.
solid. We're gonna hit it as ceiling, and it's gonna bounce against it, and then it'll create a triangle, and then it'll punch
Will
through.
you quickly pull up on your one-day chart there on the brave new coin liquid index that
BLX,
that Tone designed for us. back in
The
day?
original version, the new version has been
It's
updated.
been-
The new version of BLX has been updated beyond my initial index building skills. It's a lot better. It's a lot better now.
It was your brain child.
That's right.
Thank
You
very much.
used to write for.
So
Yeah.
back in 2011, 12, remember what we looked at just when we were studying volatility?
I have other questions. Actually, because I'm
scroll
gonna,
right left, 2012.
hey, I'm gonna lose the
That's a
live
good
chat.
bet.
I'm gonna throw the questions
All right,
out there
that's-
because my ability to retain all these questions in my head is degrading with the amount of alcohol intake. So I'm just gonna throw some other questions out there.
This is why you should do like
Yeah, go
LSD,
on.
right?
Yeah. And I don't really have that. I can't really copy and paste them.
kidding.
I don't have a question guy right now or a girl. Sorry, Leah. So hold on a second here. So we have another tip from Martin. Thanks for the videos. Can you give one reason why you think can stop the growth of Bitcoin? Also, Tone, can you do affiliates for your Airbnb places you stay at? Okay, so here's why I can't do an Airbnb affiliate, because I will be doxxed. I have emailed Airbnb and I have specifically asked them to alter the wording in my affiliate Airbnb code, and they said they're not going to do it. And I don't want to lose my Airbnb history and my rating because I have a pretty good rating. So I can't give you guys my Airbnb affiliate because I will be doxxed, and I've been doxxed enough as it is. I don't need to do it myself. Now, one reason each as to what we think will stop the growth of Bitcoin, I think this is a very good question.
Yeah.
Let me throw a couple more questions out there. You guys can help me remember them. Hold on a second. Bear market at 2014 had a major event. The major event broker with 70, right? The Mt. Gox thing. I think the Mt. Gox thing is a huge scapegoat for the 2014 bear market. I think the 2014 bear market would have happened with or without Gox. I don't believe that Gox helped pump the Bitcoin price up. The fact that GOX went down had no effect on it. And people are saying that Tether pumped the price of Bitcoin so much. Like, I don't blame GOX for the bear market. If anything, I blame GOX for the unreasonable rise in the price of Bitcoin. So we can do the same thing. We can blame the rise of the bull market in 2017. We can blame it on Tether. We can blame it on CME FOMO. We can blame it on, Wall Street getting in. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you want to blame Mt. Gox for anything, blame it for the unreasonable increase. Don't blame it for the bear market. If you want to blame anything for the current bear market and why it's so bad and why I think we're going to go lower, don't blame what happened after the CME increase. Blame it on the unreasonable FOMO leading into it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to, and I can back what you're saying with research data, right? Any one of you can go and look on a website of an institute called the Socionomics Institute. One word, socionomics.net. And you can look at the website and see that there is decades of research relating to market crashes and social mood, related events that happen at the same time as market crashes. Now, a market crash is a precursor. It is not the result of an event. A market crash, according to research finding, is a precursor to a whole lot of negative events, right? Believe it or not, you can go and research it for yourself. Mt. Gox was announced by the crash of Bitcoin in November of 2013. It was announced. It did not cause that. If you go and look in your chart, you can look at a one-day chart. You can't scroll back far enough in TradingView with a four-day chart. But if you look in your chart on a one-day chart, you will see that the date of the China ban on Bitcoin exchange that everyone blamed for the market reversal happened 3 days after the market had made its peak, right? So in other words, and there was already a massive RSI divergence, the final one of a sequence of compound divergences in place that would tell any technical trader, this is the time to sell on the one-day chart, right? So the market crash precedes a whole series of negative events. In other words, Mt. Gox is not the cause of the crash, nor is US dollar tether, USDT is not going to cause anything. If there is good or bad happening, it is a consequence of a larger collective thing that is happening. Not because this thing happened and then it made the market go down. The market is only a precursor for a series of events. If it's going down, you can expect negative social events. If it's going up, you can expect positive social events. Plus, we interpret things according to the direction of the market because we're invested in it, right? That's to answer that question. We didn't get to the one reason. Go for what
There's never one reason.
No, I concur with Tony. I think that the bear market detoxes. Mt. Gox did the pumping, the Willy bot, not my bot. But we got to this mania phase, and then you go through this natural detox.
And by the way, the Willy bot existed in 2011. There's evidence of that.
Wasn't it the first pump of 2013 was the Willy bot?
No, the Willy bot's been there. There's emails between Mark Karpelès and Jeb McCaleb, who sold Mark Karpelès the exchange. When Mark Karpelès bought Mt. Gox, he realized a month after he bought it that 80,000 Bitcoin was missing. And when he emailed McCaleb asking him about the 80,000 missing Bitcoin, McCaleb answered him, gave him like 4 or 5 ways how Karpelès can make up the missing 80,000 Bitcoins, or 80,000 Bitcoin missing. And one of his answers was just utilize the bot that we have. Like, it's right there. It's in an email. It's in an April 2011 email. I can show you that.
How,
email.
Did the account get hacked?
I would like to see.
Oh, was it on
that was
right
after,
now?
that was a month after that. A month after that, the account got hacked. Marco Pellus bought the exchange with 80,000 missing Bitcoin. Then he got hacked a few months later for an additional 250,000 Bitcoin.
So
this is yeah.
And that was all in 2011.
we need to get to that previous question because that was a
What
very
can
good question.
derail?
But before we do,
Right.
I just wanted to point out, you go look at socionomics.net, right? I've got no affiliation with them, whatever. It's just that compelling research, man.
You know,
You've got to go look at that, and you find that during a bear market, suddenly, throughout all bear markets in history, the calls for regulation increase. The amount of radicalism in society and within that market sector increases, as we've seen. So, you know, like I was telling you yesterday, during the bull market of the 1920s, Superman was the big hero, right? And the most popular selling comic. And during the bear market after 1929, so in the 1930s, the most popular selling comic and invented in that time was Batman. So think about that. Did you know that women's skirts become shorter during bull markets and longer during bear markets?
You can do this with movies as well. The themes of movies.
Yeah,
So
I gotta look into that.
I'm looking at this, and this just occurred to me.
What are you looking at? This
is the long-term chart, right? It's just like, look what's happening here. It's like,
are you using BLX? What are you using for that?
this is BLX. It doesn't matter. It's close enough. If you were like a I don't know, swinging team, you're a billionaire.
Can you double click in the middle there so that the price gets maximized and it drops your indicators? Just double click on that. In the middle, anywhere.
Just there,
double
bam,
click.
bam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
All right. Okay. So we're just looking at the Bitcoin price over a very long range from 2015 to now. Look at this. I've seen this before in smaller markets like altcoins, right? There's a whale coming in and he just wants to accumulate for the long term. It's a floor on it. And he knows that this is the price I have to accumulate at, not down here, because you know you're not going to get enough coins.
Just to tell you all, he's got the cursor and the level he's talking about is 6,000.
The floor we got right now, if you're coming in with like billions and you go, I want to accumulate X amount, maybe it's a few hundred million, maybe it's half $500 million. Well, Bitcoin's only worth 100 billion, but there's a certain amount within that $100 billion range that you want to accumulate. If you've got $10 billion or $1 billion, you want a certain number of million. And you know if you're gonna accumulate lower, you're not gonna get as many coins.
Well, you're not gonna buy it all in one order, right? You're gonna stagger it over months and years.
So if you were to I want to take a big chunk of the Bitcoins out there, you do your calculation, and maybe the calculation is 6,000, and I'm going to hold that floor because I've got all the money in the world to pour in, and I actually want the coins.
This is what I've been saying for months.
It's possible until you get one rogue whale.
Until you get one rogue whale. Break the rank, mess it all up.
Break the rank, force them to sell, and then buy it all up on the cheap.
But this whale is not a trader. This whale is like, I think this is more like the venture capitalist. It's like,
but when we say that we're speculating, right? If we can put like evidence on the table, then we can start saying, well, how much and who and when and where. But to say this whale is not normal.
There's two things. There's a giant volume at price, volume profile right there, and it looks like it's $500. Oh, but I think that's skewed. I'm sorry. That's probably skewed by the fake Chinese volume.
The Chinese volume.
That's the fake Chinese. I know exactly what that volume is from because back then I was involved in that index. That fake Chinese volume is BTC is BTC China.
Yeah.
That's me. I know that for a fact.
And funny that
I was involved in that index.
It's funny that man, what's his name, Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
He was the one saying these guys are doing fake volume.
And then he faked the volume right before the Chinese regulators showed up. I know that for a fact. Like I said, I was involved in the index.
People are amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So
look at that volume. This is Bitstamp we're looking at.
Can we answer that question, man? Can we answer?
And I have the opposite question actually, because I'm going to lose this question. So we have to answer another question. And the question is, what is the one thing that could derail the price of Bitcoin going up. And we have the opposite question of what macro event can make Bitcoin shoot up back to $20,000 in a small amount of time. So we have to answer it in both directions.
Okay. Who's gonna go first? Can I go first?
You go
Sure.
first.
I'll be short, right? I'm not gonna ramble about it.
No, it's
it's
usually
simple.
my problem.
I'll first say what is the one thing that can derail what is the question?
Do you just derail the Bitcoin evolution?
Yeah, derail the Bitcoin evolution will be at the core developer level, because Bitcoin's evolution has got nothing to do with its price. What's happening at the Bitcoin core development level is key, and I think it will be a loss of.
You gotta be more specific though. I mean, what? I mean, it's kind of. I think that's a cop-out answer. We all know that if the Bitcoin developer level something goes wrong, shit is over. But can you think of something specific that could go wrong?
Oh,
at
I
the
don't
developer
want
level?
to say it, man, but like, you know, a loss of any one of Adam Back, Gregory Maxwell, Peter Willy, Luke Dash Jr., Jonas Schnelly. There's a group of about 20 guys I can mention.
Marcos Corello.
A loss at that level or a corruption at that level will be critical for Bitcoin.
Like Satoshi walking out.
I'm not talking about like Satoshi.
But I think it's established Satoshi wasn't that great of a developer. He solved a problem.
Yeah, he's I think he's number 12 on the commit list now.
He's still
Bitcoin is
Hey, guys,
more
don't get
DNA
the-
of this new.
Don't get
Okay,
that sidetracked. That's one thing that could derail Bitcoin at its core, right? Not the price. When the other question was related to price, right?
The other one was in the opposite direction. What macro global event can shoot the price of Bitcoin back to all-time highs in a short period of time?
I have the answer. I thought it through.
Go for it.
And I might revise it, but right now I'm going to say to you, it's if government will please ban Bitcoin, then we will be on the way with the price chart.
I would go ban cash. Like a push to eliminate paper cash.
Yeah, because that's coming anyway, right?
That's coming anyway, but like a serious push to eliminate paper cash.
Yeah, because we know that Japan is not into eliminating. They're pushing back on this idea to eliminate.
just for support.
Because remember, oh yeah, look at that. Because remember, banning Bitcoin now takes out the Wall Street. So that banning Bitcoin, I think, would not be positive for the Bitcoin price. Because a lot of people, we're talking about it now, we're talking about some new whales coming in, and they're probably coming in from traditional finance. Now that Bitcoin is growing in market cap, if the government bans Bitcoin, no financial institution will be able to buy into Bitcoin legally, and they're not going to do it. So I think banning Bitcoin would actually help drive the price down in the short term.
In the short
Not
term,
drive it up.
there'll be a shrinking away like a turtle. Oh my God! And people are going to run away.
Right. Because
And
remember,
then
again, we're talking about Novogratz. Novogratz. I don't want to pick on Novogratz here. Novogratz, Draper, Dan Moorhead of Pantera. If the government of Canada, America, and Europe and Australia come in and say Bitcoin is now illegal, if you are a financial institution and you want to keep your job investing money for your clients, you better have zero Bitcoin exposure. And that forces Novogratz to sell. That forces Draper to sell.
Regulation and law forces.
Yeah. Okay, so you ban Bitcoin, and therefore there are no exchanges. The only exchanges are on the DEXs and on the dark
I think
markets.
the immediate shock of Bitcoin could be huge to the downside. Now, because Wall Street is getting in, and thank God the CME futures exist, because by having the CME futures, you have legitimized Bitcoin to the point where the US government has a problem of declaring Bitcoin illegal, because they're going to say, then why the hell did you approve the CME futures?
Yeah.
Look,
You make
we're
a good
going to
point.
look at
You make a
this.
very
It's
good
like,
point.
what?
I might
We've
be-
got to be practical about this. Will they ban Bitcoin? I don't think so. It's too far down the track.
I agree.
So this is not a scenario that we should talk about. It's like, what future event that could moon it or crash it? And within the realms of
Go for it.
probability.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think that to crash it would be a breakthrough in cryptography or quantum computing that would break Bitcoin. And the thing with Bitcoin is the consensus layer is very hard to change. We saw that with the 2x. You know, when we were like, Bitcoin's very hard now to change this thing, and we cannot act quickly to change the, you know, SHA-256. If we want to switch to something else, oh, no, that's not going to happen. There's a whole infrastructure there. There's miners that's going to stop that. So we're stuck on this path. So if we have a cryptographic breakthrough that breaks SHA-256, whether that's quantum computing, that will break it. I think that if a core dev leaves, I don't think that's enough.
I agree.
And if you screw up with, say, an inflation blow, I don't think that's enough, because we'll roll back. We'll do, like, we had a hard fork before, and you know, the people, someone was following this better than I did, but like, had the inflation blow been like acted upon, it was not that catastrophic.
Well, I was not worried about that. No one is going to execute
So
that.
where we have these bugs going,
Oh, yeah.
I think that because there's a group consensus here, we will fix it, because everyone's after protecting their own interests. The majority will reverse the bugs. But when you get a fundamental consensus break based on cryptographic attack, I think that would crash it. We'd move on to the next chain that is resistant.
I'm going to go with a geological event, our discussion from earlier.
Oh, you mean like we will die because?
Well, not necessarily die, but like a severe geological event.
Because you guys are geologists.
Yeah. So it's going to be some kind of some kind of catastrophe on a global scale. Yeah. So a lot of people will die. And
that's a very bearish scenario.
Well, that's what they wanted, right? What can derail Bitcoin? Something that, you know, the amount of Bitcoin becomes less important than how to put food on the table.
Okay.
So because remember, this is why Bitcoin, you asked me this, right? I just did a workshop in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I had 20 people there, and you asked me how many of them were Thai. And my answer was, I think there was 3 Asian people there, and I don't think any of those 3 were Thai. So the people in countries like India, by percentage, Philippines, these people don't care about putting seriously derail Bitcoin. And like now a breakup in the European currency, I think is amazing for Bitcoin, because then people in those countries will try to go into Bitcoin instead of trusting their own governments with their own currency. But a geological event that forces people to care about food and bullets more than they care about gold and Bitcoin could seriously derail Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this, but the question is in fan.
Well, the reason we discussing the other day, when the worst happens, people need to get out of those stores of value. They stored value exactly
for that reason,
situation, right?
Yeah. This is contrarian to what you said earlier. The whales control it. So the whales need something. They need to get out of all their positions and put it in some safe haven.
Yeah.
And if that is Bitcoin, the digital gold used to be gold.
This comes to Martin Armstrong's story about the mythical shore. the market doesn't go down because some guy decides to short. The market goes down because people panic sell and there are no buy orders below price.
Right.
Guys, we just lost electricity on that fan, or maybe
No, that was me turning it off.
I was liking it. You don't want it?
Oh, they're saying bad connection and bad sound. Hold on, I just turned the fan off.
No, I shouldn't have.
You got a robot voice it. Tell me get back in the pool.
That'll solve.
I can switch Wi-Fi's to my cell phone.
Simon, get back in the pool.
Here's your cell phone. I put it out the way of
Okay.
everything.
Hold on.
If I can carry on talking,
Alright, hold on, let me-
give anybody
let
something to respond to. It sounds
Let
good
me
or bad.
I'm gonna turn on my hotspot. I want to
We've
switch.
got some fans saying, take your shirt off.
Yeah, thank you.
What would moon Bitcoin is like.
We have to speak louder.
Oh,
No, I'm assuming
Let
it's
me-
up there now.
no. We're
What would moon Bitcoin? Very quickly.
Well,
I've got my answer. Is this working? Shall I
Oh
just
no. Give me 1 second. Oh, they're saying better sound now. Better now. I switched Wi-Fi's.
And the fan was obviously oscillating the sound.
Okay, so we should be better now. Yeah. Okay. I switched. I went back to online.
All right. I
Okay,
don't want to charge you. Willy just came up with his reason.
this is the reason why Bitcoin would move, the scenario in which Bitcoin would move upwards. You have this kind of thing where, like, fundamentally, US dollars is a debt-based currency controlled by banking. New money is created into existence whenever there is a loan being extended. So the whole system within banking
You're talking about fractional
is
reserve.
fractionally reserved, asset backed. You go like, if I've got $10, I can loan out $100. All they've got to protect within that $10 is that there's no run in the bank that wants to withdraw those $10. Now, if we get into a situation that was very close to what happened in 2008, and confidence drops in the banking, like the substance of our money, because in that zone, we were thinking, where are the safe havens? And there was a lot of gold people going, this is a safe haven. Like, what if there was all these risks, and it was like, oh, I'm going to cash. But then what if the banks break? What if the actual fabric of the US dollar breaks? And so what I think is going to, like, what we could see is if we have the next banking crisis, US dollar is going to go up, right? Because everyone wants to get out of their trade positions. They want to get out everything. There's a flight to safety, and US dollar goes up. But
I agree.
But if then suddenly it gets so bad that there's this cascade of banking meltdowns and fiat currency as we know it is ended, the period from 1973 to this scenario, and by the way, it's not long, it's like 50 years or something, it's an experiment. Whereas, so if that happens and confidence drops in the fabric of the US dollar, the fiat, then we're going to look for other things. And then you've got the choice of gold, you've got the choice of real estate, stuff that's real, or you've got the choice of a digital asset that mimics gold. And then it'll be.
Shall I chop off a piece of this bar of gold to go down to the market and buy a bag of beans, or shall I negotiate a Bitcoin rate? Or perhaps you want to pay for US dollar?
The question around whether you use gold or crypto is whether or not the internet stays up. Do we go back to the Stone Age because everything melts down, or it's just the meltdown of currency?
Yeah, the internet is interesting. We've discussed it. Bitcoin Fiber, right, is a protocol that has been designed and implemented to operate over radio. So yeah, radio, not your talk radio, ham radio. In other words, people can, and funny enough, you might not know this, Luke Dash Jr. has implemented a previously known alphabet for transmitting, for translating and articulating Bitcoin addresses over radio, because you don't want to go on the radio saying A13, say it's a SegWit address, 3A15, because radio crackles and that. So you've got words that are very distinct from each other. It's like the Dovian alphabet.
So he's in this future of like
There's
everything
a
goes
future
to
being
shit.
prepared.
And it's like
for-
people, it's this like Terminator in Terminator 2, the time.
Yeah, man, like a Bitcoin speak.
Yeah.
For doing transactions over radio.
Yeah, because we're in
No,
NORAD and
the
there's a crackly radio,
in the age of
and we're talking to
internet,
each other.
Yeah, in the age of
Oh, that's
internet
interesting.
and video and smartphones, all of
Because
that,
you're a bit of a
you don't know that there's an army of certified ham radio operators out there, and a lot of these guys are into Bitcoin, and they will get into Bitcoin when it becomes critical. So we don't need the internet. Yeah, it's convenient. But if the central
You need the internet. The miners.
you can,
The miners need the internet.
the miners need the internet.
So,
But
we talked about
but
that.
two guys can mine. Two guys can mine. One guy can mine with two nodes connected by Ethernet cable in the same room. That's mine.
Yeah, but it will be considered centralization,
Yeah,
and I would get out, and so will everybody else.
Well,
if the
you might
internet
want
goes
to.
down, I'll buy gold.
You might not know
That's just like-
how
I'll buy bullets.
if the internet
Right.
if the internet's been down for 3 months or 6 months and you can still use Bitcoin, you're not going to worry about how centralized it is. I mean, we're not talking about ideals and would likes. We're talking about
Actually,
I have to do this.
if the internet goes
Yeah.
down, if it goes that bad, I wouldn't buy bullets. I would help my buddy.
I would help my buddy and my family
I just
wherever
help my
they
buddy.
are on the globe.
It's like there's two ways you can go for it. You can buy bullets and be survivalist, or you can look after the guy next to you.
You can look after them by having bullets.
In war zones, the monks never got killed.
I don't know about that. Didn't Tibet have that problem?
Yeah, but they became political and they wanted to overthrow the power. That's not very monkish, right?
They were
that's not the middle path.
they were opposing the two China's policy. Right?
Yeah, they
Of
opposed.
Kissinger.
So it's like they were just looking after people and they were held to their wisdom. And I think that's.
So we
Anyway, we're drifting off.
We're drifting. Okay,
Amazing.
look, I do have another tipped question. I don't understand this question. I want to read it, but I don't know if we're going to answer it, but I'll read it. Wouldn't the people defending 6,000 also be the people selling at the top of the bounce, increasing the amount of money they have to defend it each time?
I get it.
Oh, yep.
They're talking about
They're milking more money
They
to
talk
be
about
able to
that
defend
curve.
the 6,000.
Well, okay, if you bought a bunch of Bitcoin defending 6,000 and your peg broke, right? Then as it goes back to 6,000, I agree, they're going to be selling it because now they're exiting break even.
Hold on, you're on the
And
wrong
that's
side.
what makes
you're below 6,000.
Yeah,
He's
look.
talking about above 6,000. We've got price kind of also making lower highs.
Right.
And he's saying, is it maybe the same people selling at those lower
See,
highs?
that's the thing. It's saying that wouldn't the people defending 6,000 also be the people
selling the top of the bounce.
at the top of the bounce? So
The
I am
dead cat bounce
assuming
at the top.
after we break 6,000 to the downside.
No, he's saying every time that we bounce from 6,000, we make a lower high.
Yeah, could they be the ones selling and
Somebody's
making more
selling
money?
it.
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. Eventually, this is how you get the descending triangle.
Yes.
Eventually, you're not gonna buy at 6,000 because you don't expect it to go up much.
Yeah.
And at that point, you just sell whatever you have left.
Okay, so there's two. The Tone has given the one answer. The other answer is that it's not the same people at the top of each bounce that are selling. They are only buying. They're not yet selling because they've got a longer term plan for 10,000 or 12,000, or however high the retailers will take it. Right. So you get it. What? The chart is it's got a floor at 6,000 and it's doing that. Can you see that on the camera? Like that. Yeah. Right. This person is saying the people who are buying on the bounce from 6,000, who are buying there to make it bounce up, are they also perhaps the same people who are selling at the reversal at the lower highs.
Well,
Because
that's
they want
part
to
of the
minimize
market.
their risk. They're like, okay, buy at 6,000, sell
And
it.
why are you saying it's different people?
I'm not saying it. I'm saying it could be different people. It could be the same people. He's
You're saying
asking,
it's
is it
the
the
same
same people? Is it?
We don't know.
We don't know. Because now you're saying,
It's the same people. You're in the market, and if it's going to turn, you're going to sell.
Well, people have different time horizons, right? Like the
That's
people
it.
that are defending and buying 6,000,
Right.
you don't know what their time horizon is. So you don't know if those are the same people or not. Okay, but I want to go back to this. So remember the question that we had. This is from Zhao. He says, you didn't understand my previous question. He's saying his English is not good, but your English is actually fine. My question is why the bear market of 2018 should be similar to 2014 bear market if we didn't have any event that created the fear as of 2014. So I'm going to answer this first. We understood your question perfectly. And the way we answered it was, is the reason why the 2018 bear market is so similar to the 2014 bear market is because it doesn't have anything to do with any events, because the psychology of people in the FOMO stage of a bull market is always the same, and the psychology of people in the bear market is always the same. And when you have an unreasonable rise, people will come up with, it's easy to come up with reasons why the market is rising. Once the market starts falling, you will always find a catalyst because you want a catalyst. What we're saying is the reason why the markets are so the same is because the psychology of humans has not changed. But you are interpreting the 2014 bear market as being caused by a mythical event. You have decided that that mythical event is the Mt. Gox crash. Now, many people are blaming the Mt. Gox crash for the bear market of 2014. And what we're saying is the 2014 bear market had nothing to do with the Mt. Gox implosion. The bear market was coming anyway. It's because of the bear market that Mt. Gox imploded. And that's why the 2014 bear market is so similar to the current one, because the Mt. Gox has nothing to do with it other than the increase in price, and it should never have been 1,300 in the first place.
Should have been or shouldn't have been.
You know, the interesting thing,
it unfolds, a bear market unfolds in the same way every time, and it causes events.
The interesting thing about this last bull market is it's the most legitimate bull market that Bitcoin has had. Like all the previous ones were very scammy.
The Bitfinex Twitter handle would disagree with you very heavily, right? I mean, he blames 80% of the rise of the Bitcoin in 2017 on Tether. And I disagreed with him back then. And I still disagree with Bitfinex that Tether was the leading cause of the bull market, because Tether is still with us today, and we've already been in a bear market for 10 months. Right. So if Tether was the leading cause of the bull market, we would not be in a bear market today. Look, and some people are still denying the fact that we're in a bear market.
I'm like looking at like the adoption, and I'm looking at these new animals coming in. To move the price from 1,000 to 20,000 without a Willy bot, where you could only do that if you're Mt. Gox with 90% of the trade. We're all very decentralized across exchanges. It's spread. The only way to push that up is real money coming in. I don't.
It's a combination of the two. There was real money coming in. How many people do we personally know that got into Bitcoin in 2013? I was one of them.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
You?
I got on tail end. I got the bottom of the DK.
You know, and
which that cap?
It went down to, I think, 500, 600, December 20, after Mt. Gox. Like,
so you got in after us.
Yeah, like it
Mt. Gox.
Right. But you got two guys here, right? You got 2 out of 3 right here that got in 2013. So it was a combination of the Willy bot help. But there was real money coming in because the Willy bot was driving the price up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that caused real money.
Exactly. I agree. What happened? Like if you look at the blockchain data, in terms of amount of value being transmitted on the blockchain, doesn't matter. Like I could show you every time there was a scam, it was like the Willy bots of 2013, that pushed the price up. And then, you know what kicked us out of the 2014-15 bear market? It was the MLM of China. It was a multi-level marketing scam.
I know. That was
And
one of my worst public trades.
Oh, you were bearish too early.
I went bearish a little too early when the price, and I talk about it in my workshop, when the price of Bitcoin, remember the secondary low in August, the primary low in the bear market came in January 2015. There was a secondary low in August of 2015 where the price dipped to approximately $175. Off that 175 low, the price then rose to about 275, 300. And I had called a short-term top expecting a pullback back to 200. And I got caught in that damn triple M that drove price to 500.
This is the same. This is like
but then we couldn't break 500.
Your technical indicators is reading on natural organic markets. And then something happens like Tether, poof. Right. And this MLM just broke all of that. But we saw this perfect exponential and then it crashed.
I'll even show it. I can even pull it up on the screen.
And you'll see that kicked us out of the bear market. And I can show you, it was that point, the transactions for the blockchain started to come in. There was a lot of interest.
You know what?
Okay,
but there's one more catalyst there. I think what really helped was the Greek banking crisis in July of 2015. That helped kick it all off.
There was definitely a catalyst.
Wait.
Because I was writing articles about it for CCN.
Way earlier than that.
No,
it was July.
July of 2015 was when the Greek banking crisis took place. It was a few months before that.
And price, I mean, it was just rising. It was like,
no, I know for a fact.
it was like little silly, funny waves, simple little waves back in the day. Remember?
June, July 2015.
Yeah.
I believe it was June 15th.
You and me were just kicking around on 796 together without realizing it. Probably
always
trading in the same direction.
Okay, here we go.
Guys, have a look for it. And in the meantime, I just want to add this. Let's consider the fact that and everybody out there, here's the facts, right? You can go verify it with blockchain data at any of the block explorers. The transaction volume in 2014 and 15 started increasing, even though price was going down. There was an increase, and this is when the blockchain debate became an issue on the developers mailing list and in the media, because suddenly, even though price was going down, the amount of transactions were increasing to the point where some people like Gavin Andreessen were saying, ooh, you know, when the blocks get full, bad things are going to happen, you know, with that kind of, well, where's the site? You know, where's the proof? Show us. Let's find out. Let's find out. You know, this is Bitcoin is beta software, 0 point whatever. It's not a production system. It's a beta system that we're all using and investing millions in. And in 2015, when transaction volumes started rising, even though price was bottoming out, the blockchain debate became an issue. So do you see the connection between that? There was increased adoption, even though price was low.
Yeah, I've got a chart for that.
You got to.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. It's
this is my internet argument, right?
This is the Bitcoin momentum chart. I'm just pulling it. Sorry, we can't screenshot it. This is the price coming down.
You want me to go to you want to go to your website?
You go to chartswibble.com and go to the Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'll go to your website.
Network. Yeah, go to the network.
It's this guy called Positive Crypto is his handle. He put. This is actually another view on MBT.
It's on your chart page, right?
Yeah, charts. Yeah, I got to make that.
Which one is it?
Momentum on the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side.
Right. Yeah, you got it. All right. Okay, so you can see that you can see the price.
What the hell is that thing?
This is the brown line, like yellow line. Obviously, that's the price. The brown line is the value transmitted on the blockchain denominated in Bitcoins.
So what the hell happened in 2012? There was nothing in 2012. 2012 was a dead year for Bitcoin.
Silk Road.
Yeah, well, exactly.
No.
No, there was minimal.
Silk Road started 2011 and ramped up, and this was when Bitcoin was an exchange.
Hold on, that
You mean
peak
the
there
same.
is either a data anomaly or
It's got to be a data
it's
anomaly.
the fact that
Nothing was going on there.
that there were very few participants using the blockchain, and therefore the data is exaggerated at that early stage of Bitcoin. Does that make sense?
I would check that data because nothing happened in the year
That
2012.
doesn't look that rude to me. Remember, what is that line reflecting? The amount of activity. Is that transactions?
This is the amount of value, Bitcoins, that is being sent between wallets.
I mean, unless that's when Roger Ver started buying 100,000 Bitcoin, and I mean, like,
if that's what it is, it's anomalous.
I mean, that's.
But let's look beyond it.
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Let's
Let
look beyond
me eliminate that. Let me
at,
rescale this because. Oh wait.
if you look at the bear market, so like if you can see we're in that sort of B wave that you described, Venzen, where like if you go up, now, like, so at this point here.
Yeah, there you go. I just want to drop the anomaly, which is bothering me.
At this point here, right?
Yeah,
highlight that, right? This is like we're still in the bear market and it's still coming down.
Yeah.
What happens is all of this volume starts to come in on the blockchain. There's a lot of activity, and that's turning the boat around.
So
bear.
Right here is where the Greek banking crisis took place.
June.
Look, and
June or July? Mid-June or mid-July. I used to remember.
This is this is October of the MLM, much later.
Right.
Okay.
And this is that anomaly.
So your June stuff pushed up. Yeah, and this is where you get the massive peak.
Right. This is the triple M. This is triple M. I remember it very well. Triple M brought the price from 200 all the way to 500. But then we made this massive ascending triangle, and we couldn't break 500. Now also notice, right, see this line here? Man, that date's really in the way. Hold on. This line here, there, okay. See, that is the breakdown of that massive descending triangle. You broke it down from 2014.
Yeah.
We broke this descending triangle from 2014, guys.
Your cursor.
I know, but I don't want to.
You didn't want to block it.
Yeah, I don't want to block it.
So describe dates.
Okay, so right here is the break of the descending triangle, right here. Okay, now Triple M helped push us back to that breakdown level of 500, but then it took another 6 months to form this crazy ascending triangle. And then we broke out of it into the habit. And this giant anomaly here, this is all Triple M.
Okay, but I want to.
Well, there's other things as well. It's always more than Triple M.
And remember, this is real people moving funds around.
Oh, absolutely.
Real people moving real funds around. And I don't mean to be a pain.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to be a pain in the Awadi backside, but this again comes to the fundamental, but not the fundamental belief, the understanding, the perspective that events do not cause the market to move, but that people, a collective spirit moves the market, and certain events happen at the same time as a strange coincidence. It's almost as if the collective psychology manifests the fundamentals it wants to see. And there we see, because you confirmed for me, that is real people moving real money.
And they're moving it, they're moving it up. So you see where that momentum's going up.
Yeah.
They're starting to move money and they're turning the bear market around. And then so many months later, the accumulation is finished. And now we're in the bull at this higher level.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of activity.
It's a hodler activity that's moving around that turns the bear market around.
Sure. Now you can have
buying, not necessarily hodler, but buying.
No, but that's fine. But like even something like the Triple M Ponzi scheme can bring the price up 100%. And now the technical picture gave us the ascending triangle. So guys like Venzen and I are now way bullish, even though it was caused by bullshit.
Yeah.
it has reversed people's psychology, and people are more optimistic about the price of Bitcoin into the future.
The thing is with the MMN is that you had to buy Bitcoin. So it was real stuff on the blockchain and people actually accumulated it. It wasn't trader games. Same thing with Mt. Gox. People was like, oh, you've got to buy in because it's gone into mania. And then they
Guys,
started.
I'm gonna echo Ernest Hemingway at this point. He's like, it's not a question of what is true or not true. It's all true. You know, it all fits together
Right.
in a strange packet that the technicals and the Ponzi and the FOMO all happen at the same time. But it starts from the people. And then the events echo what was.
But the reason I was going into this to begin with, right, is the reason I was saying it because look, you can blame the Willy bot for the increase in the price, right? And what I'm saying is, yes, the Willy bot all throughout 2013 was a factor in the increase of Bitcoin. However, it was not a direct factor. It was an indirect factor.
Yes.
So I would say the Willy bot had a maximum of a 10% increase in the price. But because of even that 10%, it gave people more confidence in Bitcoin driving the
Sure.
FOMO.
Sure.
The same thing for Tether. See, Bitfinex believes that Tether was responsible for 80 to 90% of the price rise. I say Tether was maybe responsible for 5 to 10% of the actual price rise.
Sure.
But the psychological effect of supporting the price helped drive people's FOMO and confidence. So indirectly, it might have had an 80%.
Yeah, we're saying the
increase,
same thing. We're all saying the
but
same
not
thing.
directly.
But now we're articulating it and we're actually coming to a point where we're agreeing without throwing out outlying data
Right.
points. Now we're all starting to move to the same point.
Right.
Because I agree with Tone and you, because what Tone is saying, put in another way, Tone, you're saying that without the Willy bot, completely without the Willy bot, it still would have happened.
We would have gone up,
Yeah.
but we probably would have gone up a lot less.
A lot
less.
or a little bit less, but we would
Probably,
have
we
gone up.
probably would have gone up slower.
Yeah.
We probably would have never gone above my $7,600 top that I expected.
Funny enough, that was my
Right.
expectation
Right.
too. 750.
And the same thing on the way down.
Yeah.
Look, we are now down 70% in the price of Bitcoin. The bear market has been with us for 10 months. Tether has not yet imploded, and 2 weeks ago it was still at parity. So
Yeah.
what it tells you is that the psychology of the market is still 90%. And now in a bear market, before the Tether implosion, Tether still had a 10% positive increase on the
Yeah.
price of Bitcoin because Tether still exists. However, the 80 or 90% market psychology of people that were no longer willing to buy Bitcoin at an unreasonably high price is driving the price of Bitcoin down, and there is nothing Tether can do about it.
It's not the dominant factor in it. For
It's a
sure, it
very
cannot.
small factor, but in a bull market, that small factor drives confidence.
Yeah. Especially if we look at a guy like, or a team like Satoshi sitting on their amount of Bitcoin. Are they going to say, "Ooh, US dollar Tether, we better sell," or we better? You see what I'm saying? It's like there's so many retailers can lose confidence, and US dollar Tether has got a small influence, a little bit.
Has anyone done a data study on this?
You're the guy to do
you're
it.
the
You're the
data
guy
guy.
to do it.
The premise is that Tether is fractionally reserving, so then you've got more tethers to buy.
That's an
Bitcoin.
allegation.
That's an allegation.
and
Right. Is that the theory
like
of
it.
why it's
I like
pushing up?
That's the theory, but it hasn't.
So
been
then we
proven.
should be able to do sums of how much volume they've got to print.
Well, last I
Right.
heard, they're deleveraging because like they're actually cashing in the Tether, which if
Then
they're
that's a run on the bank if they don't have the full backing.
but if they do have the full backing, they made a huge sum of money. If they know they're fully backed, they're buying up all this Tether at 90 cents on the dollar and cashing it out for full price. Anyway, I have a very quick question, very quick for me anyway. Do you think some governments are starting to invest in, buy Bitcoin behind the scenes? No, I do not. If Bitcoin could really replace gold, getting in early equals advantage. I do not believe any governments are buying.
I don't believe that either.
Maybe some small government that's
Small
irrelevant.
ones, small
That's
ones.
irrelevant. I don't believe any
If you've got-
relevant government
If
is
you ever
buying
got
Bitcoin.
if you got a currency that is anywhere large, like USD, Euro, you're not going to buy Bitcoin because you're undermining your own game.
Is there some government that nobody cares about buying Bitcoin? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just like look for the countries that don't have their own.
But guys,
currency.
also let's not fall into what the question is leading, because the question is saying government. What does that mean, government? Government is an arm.
Central bank. Central bank.
Well, yeah, because strictly defined,
Oh,
government,
okay.
government is our career politicians,
Right, let's go
which
on.
is one arm of the state, right? When you
Oh,
talk about the
okay.
state, right, you're talking about government, you talk about the politicians who execute orders, you're talking about the central bank,
Are we still
and
streaming?
you're talking about the judicial arm of government.
we stopped streaming.
No, but my
You're talking about
live
the
chat.
judicial arm of the state, and you're talking about
my
the
live chat is
military,
screwed up.
right? By which the state enforces its hegemony, right? Okay, so sorry for the big words, but those of you who know what they mean, yeah, know what I'm saying. A government is a bunch of politicians. They don't deal with money. They just spend it. They get a loan from central banks and their donors, and they spend it. They do not buy or sell gold or Bitcoin or anything. If anybody's going to do that, the mandate is with the central bank. Bitcoin is anti-state by design, by intention, and by action. So any government any state that buys Bitcoin is properly foolish, right? They're eating rat poison in effect. Why would they do that?
Unless they're all on the back foot. If they're on the back foot in a smaller nation, like under
Like
a
Cyprus
under a USD reserve currency, or like say China.
Everyone's got USD.
Do you imagine if you're China or you're under the USD?
You're in USD. You're in USD.
What's that?
US dollar.
I'm in US dollar. Yeah, okay. So if you're China and then you're
I'm in USD.
so like these, so imagine if you're China, but like the enemy is the US dollar, right?
It's not the enemy. Is not the US dollar. The US dollar is best.
I don't think it's the enemy. I don't think it's the
If
enemy.
you're China,
If you're China and you implode the US dollar, who's gonna buy your shit?
yeah, okay, this is a bad example.
Yeah.
It's just like if you're let's go back to what
Korea,
you're saying.
go
I'm
for
just
Korea,
repeating
man.
myself.
Go
If
for
you're
North Korea.
you're a smaller nation where you don't have enough weight, you're not a whale in the game, then you just buy whatever you think is going to win in the long term.
Right. So, and you don't declare it to your people because that's going to blow your cover, right? You're like, this thing is actually better than our currency. Yeah.
What's the,
This thing that makes us irrelevant is better than our currency. It's a losing game, man. Yeah. They could do it out of foolishness. That's what I'm saying. If they do it, it's out of foolishness.
You would
It's
not
out of-
want to
it's not out of-
declare. You would not want to declare that you bought Bitcoin if you're a central bank, because it puts you on the wrong side of all the other central banks.
Yeah, and you got to eventually answer to the Fed, right? Which is the supreme.
So the question
Central bank.
is like, when does sovereign wealth funds start to accumulate Bitcoin?
What do you think?
They I think some of them probably already started in very small ways, because again, you have to justify. We talked
You
about
have
it.
to hedge.
Yeah, you have to hedge with a little bit. Like we talked about it with like, you know, let's say the Saudi families, are they buying Bitcoin? And my answer was probably not. Because maybe one guy might be buying it with his own money. But are they gonna buy it with their family's money? No, because if you screw up, you're in serious trouble. And it's not worth it. I have another very simple question. Very simple, because I can answer in one word. As a hodler, when would you start accumulating more Bitcoin? And my answer to that is always, as a hodler, you start accumulating Bitcoin yesterday.
Yes. No, even with Tone's maxim there, which is good at any time, Right now, we're near the support floor of 6,000. It's a good time to buy. Even if price goes lower, you won't have to endure that for more than a few years.
Just don't buy in
before you're
one
back
hit.
in profit.
Just buy in little bits, little
Yeah.
bits, little bits.
Okay, here's another interesting one. Everyone keeps talking about how much does it cost to mine a Bitcoin. And ironically, as the bear market continues to happen, those estimates continue to go lower and lower and lower, which I absolutely love, because when Bitcoin was at 10,000, everyone was screaming, you can't go lower than 10,000. It costs $10,000 to mine a Bitcoin. And then I heard it at 8,000, and then I heard it at 6,000, and here's the latest one. Current average price of mining Bitcoin is around 4,500. So these estimates keep going down. Guys, when the price does fall to 4,500, which I believe that it will, the same question will show up again. The average price to buy a Bitcoin is 4,000.
To mine a Bitcoin is 4,000.
They're going to keep lowering the damn estimate.
We're not locking. We're not locking because we're mocking
the
you
price,
for asking the
the
question.
price dictates those
It's
economics.
just that
The
we
only-
cannot know.
The only difference,
Guys, I will be mining Bitcoin. I will mine Bitcoin when Bitcoin is 1,000. Me and my one miner. Because you know what? Because there is enough people that are mining Bitcoin because they believe in Bitcoin and not for a profit motive. So it doesn't really matter how low the price of Bitcoin will go. Mining will only be more decentralized with a lower price of Bitcoin, not less
Yes,
decentralized.
because I'm willing to mine Bitcoin at a loss, and I probably won't care because I care about the utility of Bitcoin
Correct.
for allowing me permissionless transactions to send money to my family in Africa, and for me to be able to have private transactions with nobody's business, right? And that's worth mining a Bitcoin for, even if it costs me money to do that. Like Adam Back said back in was it in November last year or October? He said, I bet people will pay $100 transaction fees like they do with gold purchases.
I paid
and
$100
international remittance for a Bitcoin transaction. And funny enough,
have a
I was
friend.
busy paying $100 transaction fees.
I pay one.
I have
Yeah.
a friend who paid $8,000.
To send $99.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
because he needed those funds pushed through because he was in a trade, so he had to pay a miner to clear that through. Pick that transaction.
I don't lose sleep about it. I've got no regret about it because it was permissionless and it was private. And I got done what I needed to do.
I was pissed about it because I was doing a transaction and I saw that I can get this transaction in within the hour if I paid a $30 fee. And I went cheap, but I said, what if I just pay 20? It'll take a couple of
And it's
hours.
going to cost you a lot.
And then I'm like a day later, I'm like, shit, I need this transaction to go through. I need to bump the fee, and I had to bump it to 50. And then that transaction wasn't going through. And I had to bump it to 100. And I'm like, son of a bitch, all I had to do was pay that $30 fee that first time.
And then this went to 8,000 to the point you go to a miner, say, get that transaction and process it, please. I'll give you $8,000.
And it was all spam. It wasn't natural.
Yeah.
We know it was spam. I can prove it.
Well, like I saw it, this is like it was an economic incentive to spam the network as a miner. When you get within near congestion, it's very economic to spam it to push this exponential price.
Tom, just remind me, what was the ending of the question?
Oh, who's going to be mining Bitcoin below the cost of production? We answered it. You and
Me and me.
Some of this mining, actually the most profitable mining comes from speculative mining.
Bitcoin can be worth $1 or
You,
1 cent.
you mine while it's
mining.
cheap because it's almost a trade. I'm mining cheap and then it's going to swing up.
People are asking me at what price would I panic? Under 1,000. Bitcoin under 1,000, I would panic.
You know, I would like to say, I won't panic. I'll get in the lotus position and deal with it. But to be sincere, I'll probably panic when it goes below 2,000. I'll start thinking, oh my God, now we might be looking at sub 1,000, and that scares me. We don't want to see that for the sake of the ecosystem.
It's so-
There's a certain price where you can buy all 21 million Bitcoins. One person.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very interesting that you just said that, Venzen. Very interesting. And the very okay,
Now
why
can I
was
swim
that?
in there? Oh, is it
Like-
straight or is it
Uh,
pool? All right. The pool is now going to be acidic.
Just
So-
don't do it.
It's very interesting that you said that, and here's why. So if the price goes below 2,000, you will immediately feel that we are in for an imminent 50% correction,
Yeah.
and you may panic. Right.
I might start panicking
Right.
because that's a
So-
dangerously low price
so-
for the ecosystem.
So,
Take.
so
Yeah.
and here's where it leads me. People continue, and people are laughing their ass off, and that's fine. Why did I've been bearish since our videos. When we did our videos on January 26th,
this year.
you and I were both fully bearish. I
Fully.
went back, I reviewed my videos. I found out that I started to realize the bear market was upon us on January 10th.
Right.
But the first short trade that I took on was at 6,000. And everyone is laughing. You've been bearish the whole year. Why is this your short trade? And my answer is because between 15,000 and the current end of the descending triangle, I was not scared. But right now, at 6,000, I am finally getting scared, and I don't want to lose 50% of the value of my Bitcoin right now over the next 2 months. So
To be
right
honest,
now,
Yeah.
right now, I am, because before it was all fun and games. I still have, I can still live my life. My standard of living doesn't change. I still have a good backup. I have enough money. But if we drop from 6,000 to the descending triangle target of 3,000, I am going to feel that financially. And I would rather cash in my Bitcoin now. And if I'm wrong, and we go to 20,000 by end of year, I will not feel like an idiot, unlike all of the amateur traders. I will be so happy because the other half of my Bitcoin made me a lot of money. And the Bitcoin that I cashed in will sustain my standard of living for another, I don't know, X amount of time. And I'm happy with that. But if we drop from 6,000 to 3,000, I will actually feel it financially 20 times more than I felt the financial pain from 20,000 to 6.
Yeah. You know what?
And people just don't understand that.
Thanks for saying. Can I say two things? The one thing is that amateur traders, the resentment is not against amateur traders, but against those who just blab their mouths off in the troll box and say, oh, you this and you that, and this is what we're resentful against, right? Because we're doing this content for free. Nobody's holding a gun to our heads to do this, and we don't have to do this. Tone, you're going out on a limb to service the community, and a lot of people recognize that in chat and in private membership on my website say, you know what, it's really appreciated what Tone does. So in that sense, just to justify the amateur traders, coming to sub 2,000 in my case, why I believe I would start getting cold feet and feeling the icy hand of fear grip my heart is
That's
not
not described.
it's not because of any personal thing, because I remember doing Bitcoin transactions when some months CryptoCoins News would pay me 1.4 Bitcoin for an article I wrote because Bitcoin was worth $300.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd written X amount of articles and it was worth $1,500. And I got 1.4 Bitcoin or whatever the case may be.
Seriously?
And I would spend that. On a server out on the internet so I can have a server that is not directly linked to me because I'm paying via Bitcoin, via Tor, via XYZ, right? The rubbish that I get up to in cyberspace. The server is serving me and my clients, running a node, doing all kinds of things. I was happy to spend that 1.4 Bitcoin on various things and send some home to mommy in Africa, right? And now I'm like, oh my goodness, that was 1.4 Bitcoin, back then. So even if price goes back there again, I'm willing to spend the money to sustain the things that I need to pay permissionlessly, privately, and anonymous. Right? Thank you, Lightning Network, for coming on. So my panic would be not for myself, because we've been there before. My panic would be for the ecosystem, because I know that other people would panic. I think we will see people run away.
And again, this is my reasoning for the $6,000 floor to be done, because all of those people that have been defending 6,000,
Okay.
I'm expecting them to panic at 5,700, and I
Okay.
want to be there before that. I want to be out before that.
Okay. You're saying you don't think the whales can sustain this?
I don't.
Whoever's been accumulating at 6,000, you believe they can't sustain it? I'm saying I think they got it covered. But later on, they're going to let it go.
That's the billion-dollar question.
We don't know. We don't know.
We kind of agree, but
Yeah.
we just don't know how much money and how much time they've got to sustain this.
Yes. And if you're a trader, you got to think about that. You cannot think about absolutely 6,000 or absolutely 2,000. We got to roll with the punches. It's going to unfold as it's going to unfold. And every bear market goes deeper than anyone
kinda like-
thought.
You know, the lower this goes, the more excited I'm going to get, because I'm not fully in.
Oh, you're not in
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin at all, so you have no reason
I'm
to panic.
about 40% in, no, I'm about 60, 40, 50, 60% in crypto, but I have another
Oh, I
stash.
like the
in
way you
USD.
say that. I mean, crypto. Okay, and it's true. And you're 60% in USD, which is a very good way to be right now. That's what most of my subscribers to my website.
Because
are
there's no
50-50,
way
right?
to not, in
50-50.
my mind, that this is not the future.
And what are you going to do when price goes to 2,000? You're going
I'll
to buy
buy it.
some?
I'll
You
buy
see-
it.
you see-
Well,
I'll
because
just buy it.
you have the fiat to buy it. I don't.
Why don't you have
Because he's earning.
Because I didn't need to sell.
He's earning in Bitcoin.
Exactly.
So
I didn't need to sell,
involuntarily-
but I don't want to, okay, let's put it this way, right? Let's not going to talk about net worth, right? Let's say,
Percentage.
let's say you're a person that has $1 million. Let's use round numbers, right? Let's say you're a person that has $1 million and you have a very modest standard of living. If you're, oh man, the smoke's blowing in. Let's turn the fan back.
Don't worry, it's night. Nobody's going to bust us.
No, but it is on video.
Very considerate of the owner.
Let's say you're a person with $1 million and you have a modest standard of living, right? And you're willing to hold through a bear market. And that bear market takes your net worth to 500,000. It is not affecting your standard of living. And then it takes your net worth to $250,000. And now you're starting. Like let's say you don't have a job. Let's say you're slowly living off of your retirement savings, right? And it's sitting in asset X. And that asset X is $1 million, and you're slowly using it. And then the drop in the market takes it to 500,000. And you say, well, that's still enough for me to live on for 5 years. And then it drops it to 250,000. And now you say, shit, now I can only live on this for 2.5 years. And now you're seeing patterns in the market that are telling you it can drop another 50%. At this point, you're not willing to take a chance at losing another 50%. At this point, you are better off cashing out that 250,000 to guarantee 5 years runway. And if you're wrong and you cashed out at the bottom, you got plenty of time to get back in a year later and ride the new wave up. But there comes a point.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Which is
But most of our viewers don't.
My question to you is, you called the bear market January the 10th. Why didn't you say, I'm going to take enough money out? So say you've got $1 million, I only need, I think the bear market might last 3 years. I'm going to take $300,000 out there, and then no stress. All the way
Sure,
down.
I can give you multiple reasons. One of them is a huge tax reason, which we already discussed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
It's a factor. It's a factor.
it's a factor.
The second,
Really.
here's the bigger reason. At the time in January, as much as we were
Return bearish,
as
massively bearish boat.
we turned pretty massively bearish. we both had pretty dire outlooks for Bitcoin, right? But here is the thing. Was I 80% confident that in January, that we were gonna have a 1.5-year bear market going as low as 2,000? Was I 80% confident that? The answer is absolutely not. I was maybe 55% confident, right? Now sitting here at 6K with the technical formations that I see, I am now 80% confident that we are going to drop at least 20%.
So are you willing to say that we might first go up before we do that?
No, I have no idea. I know, I'm not. What I'm saying is, right? Look, if the moment I am 51% more bearish than bullish, I have to say that to my audience.
Right.
But in January, and we dropped quickly in January, we dropped faster than I expected.
Yeah, that was harsh, man.
That was harsh. It wasn't enough time to sell, especially if you don't have any accounts with any exchanges. You don't have time to sell.
Yeah.
And calling people up and meeting strangers in the coffee shops is not exactly how you want to sell your Bitcoin either, right? So we dropped so quickly to that $6,000 level in early February. At that point, I thought that maybe the worst is over. But the current formation, let's just say I am so much more confident now that we're going to drop lower than I was at any time prior to now. And not to mention that I can live just fine on a $5,000 or $6,000 Bitcoin. But if that Bitcoin drops to 2,000, I have a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw this. This is kind of the strategy I use, right? Because we know how markets work. When you get to the mania, it bounces dead cat. And the thing is, it's really hard in a market. It's
bounces dead cat. Going down?
Yeah, it goes down and then it hits the
panic selling.
Yeah, and now the thing is, when we see a correction, it's very hard to tell a consolidation from a full bear. And my thing was, look, we need an indicator to indicate the bear, right? And so one was 200-day moving average, the other one was MDT. When that started to go up, this is my strategy. It was, okay, we're going to go into mania, and there's no, we know that it's going to crash and it's going to bounce up typically around the 75% of the peak. So I'm not going to sell the peak, right? I'm it could consolidate, it could go higher. I want to wait for that really harsh bounce and then sell that dead cat.
What they call
after bear is confirmed, and you can
you're talking about what we say, a capitulation by the bears, a compelling decline.
Not only that, it's not level. It's it goes down and up. Maybe that's a big consolidation. You need another indicator, and it's time based. It's time based. There's a 200-day moving average or an MDT indicator. There's probably more.
Yeah.
You need something else that tells you this is a long trend, not a short trend. So you need that, and once you know that, then I'm going to grab not the top, but the next bounce up.
You know what? I hear yours is you're saying what are the objective conditions I'm looking for? This to compel me to buy, to motivate me to buy.
Sell
give me
the near the top.
Yeah. Oh, near the top.
Yeah, well, you're I'm not going to get the peak. I'm going to get the next dead cat. It might be 70%.
Okay.
It could have gone another 400%.
You're very sure what you want to see. Tone is saying that this is just grinding to an inevitable collapse. This is what Tone has been doing.
Yeah.
We've debated it. We've tried to change his mind. We've looked at every angle. I've nudged him. We've poked him. Tone's this can collapse at any minute. Right.
But it's finally starting to make me nervous. It was all fun and games before predicting it correctly. And for some reason, people can no longer pick on me and you for calling it wrong the last 10 months. So now they have changed their narrative to, you're an idiot, why didn't you sell?
Yes, because I'm getting tweets where people are, people are not coming down harshly on me, but I'm getting tweets saying, hey, Venzen, what about that 2000 decline low that you called? And I've got to respond, right? And I'm like, well, the way it's happened, it's not now, but it's later. That's my only explanation. But technically, it must be near 2000. So my feeling is right now that, okay, it didn't just go to 2000. Me and Tone were so massively bearish in January. I remember, you remember when we went to watch the Muay Thai fighting?
Yeah.
And we're at this kind of restaurant, nightclub, bar, Muay Thai rink. And the guys are fighting, and Tone would come up to me with 2 beers in his hand and round eyes, like, and show me the price chart. It's like it had gone down another, I'm like, oh my goodness, another $1,000 down, And,
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. And we were like, our narrative started, and we hit it with the market at the time because we were telling people we both thinking this, and we were right. But we would.
And on top of it, again, people are making, at the time, you were with me, we're literally in the middle of nowhere on some Thai beach. We're watching the price of Bitcoin fall thousands of dollars, and I have no accounts with any exchanges. How the hell do you want me to sell? Yeah.
Number one. Number two, now we're finding ourselves at a consolidation level, and Tone is still saying, legitimately, for the reasons he gave 20 minutes ago, these guys can just be wrong, and they're buying 6,000 out of desperation, and eventually they're just somebody is gonna break ranks, and it's just gonna collapse. This is possible, and I'm saying, I think these guys have got a long-term plan. I'm not more right than Tone. I'm just taking a different scenario, and I'm saying, technically, it looks less bearish in the indicators than it did 6 months ago or 3 months ago. So I think that they're going to play a bull trap on us. This is the summary. This is the summary and the disagreement. And it's not like we fight when the camera goes off. We carry on talking.
Yeah. Well, we're very civil about it because we're being rational about the situation.
Yeah. And I must be able to change in the blink of an eye if it does turn down.
By the way, look at this giant.
We're looking at
that's that candle that was going up. And I was telling you all day today that it's gonna reverse.
It was the previous one.
This is the big one. That's the long one, but this was the secondary one.
While we started broadcasting that one formed.
That one formed,
yeah. I'm watching it form. I think it's going further up.
I'll do a screen share real quick. Yeah, we're going on 2.5 hours. We're gonna end it any minute.
I think we should. I mean, people can only listen.
You might
pretty much
like it's not a show, it's just like an ongoing live show.
We're gonna walk around with GoPros all day today. So I'm doing a screen share. Here's the 1 hour chart, and this was the big massive candle earlier today, and then this was the secondary candle that clearly failed. Now we're looking at a brand new hourly close low. If it closes in the next 23 minutes here, it's on a 5 of 9 to the downside. This is Bitfinex.
Oh, Bitfinex is pulling lower, huh?
Yeah. On the bright side,
you see that Bitstamp. Bitstamp is actually pushing higher in the hour.
Well, I don't have the hourly on Bitstamp. My Bitstamp is only on the weekly, and in the weekly we're still in my descending triangle. And as long as we're in the descending triangle, it's not interesting to me.
Right. So,
nothing's changed.
Tone, remember the question before, and we were talking about how long could price stay at 6,000? Remember that question?
Yeah.
Tone, where does the triangle come to an apex on the right hand side? What is the maximum?
Late November.
I can always adjust the triangle. It's December 10th, but there's nothing stopping me from adjusting the triangle.
So that's 2 months. That's like
it's a month and a half.
8-9 weeks away.
Yeah. So it's about 7 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah. The October is almost over.
Triangles tend not to trade right into the corner, but
no, they tend to break down already. That's why I shorted on this week. Triangles tend to break down like 75-80% in, and we were already pushing it. So
yeah.
Right.
Call it, Tony.
Just so you guys know, I don't regret any decisions that I've made. Like you're not going to get every call right. Do I regret not selling in January? No, I had no reason to sell in January.
Today when we were having coffee, was it like 9 o'clock in the morning? You were saying to me that you made the trade because you're in a majority holding position of Bitcoin. So putting one Bitcoin in a short trade has got a hedging function, and it's got, and maybe you want to explain that to people or maybe not, it's got a hedging function, plus should it go right or wrong, it's got certain benefits for you.
It's got huge benefits for me. For starters, I have just proved to an unreasonable number of trolls that whatever I say does not control the price of Bitcoin.
Because the moment Tony went short, and we were laughing loud about it.
Like two
Let's liquidate time.
Bang! You know, yeah.
And I was also joking, and I was also joking on Twitter. It's a conspiracy theory against Tone to liquidate him. And people took that seriously.
And then they made a hashtag out of it. Yeah.
Come on, guys. Nothing we do or say
Do you want
can
to
control the market.
We cannot control the market, and analysts cannot control the market. I don't want to go in, we had a long discussion. There's benefits that we spoke about. You're willing to go into them, or should we just...
No, I think it's been good enough. I
Yeah.
think that the rain isn't too bad. Maybe we can go out for dinner, go out one more time. But I think it's time to end it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. But once again, let me throw up, before we go, so on the stream, once again, we were joined by Willy Woo of woolbull.com and his amazing charts, charts.woolbull.com. Also joined by Venzen and his website, trade.cryptocurrency.net, which is a subscription site. Looking to
It's got some public. That article there.
You can go back to his 2014 articles during the bear market. You can go back to my articles in Cointelegraph during the bear market. You can see how we called those bear markets in the past. We are not new here. We've been around for a while. Please check out Venzen's site as well. And of course, my site, which looks like I have recently closed. I am, of course, Tone Vase of tonevase.com. Let's see how the workshop registrations are going. I will be heading off to Singapore tomorrow. We got about 12 seats left. After that, I am in Australia for quite a bit. I will hit New Zealand and then the big conference in Las Vegas, the Unconfiscatable conference. Please, if you like this content and you want to support this content, maybe I'll come out and meet up with these guys more often. And please use the affiliate links if you are going to sign up for a paid TradingView account or TorGuard VPN, trade at BitMax, trade at Deribit. Please use these links. They do help out as affiliate codes. And check out the Unconfiscatable website for the conference. We got a couple of new players that we need to. Trace Mayer has agreed to be an additional speaker. We are working on the conference. The price of the conference is 0.05 Bitcoin. And if the price of Bitcoin drops, the conference has just gotten cheaper. Price does go up in 37 tickets if they get bought. So please go ahead and check out the Unconfiscatable conference in Las Vegas in January. All right, guys, on this note, I'm going to go ahead and stop screen share. Thank you for hanging in there with us for approximately 2.5 hours. This is probably going to be our last stream. Tomorrow, we are all heading out of Phuket. We're all moving on to our next destinations, and we will see you all hopefully on another stream soon. Talk to you all on the next one.